Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 4 of TrackWrestling.com's Blue Chip Recruiting Podcast. I'm Eric Olanowski, and I'll be your host. Episode 1, 2, and 3 are currently up on TrackWrestling.com. Those episodes include Gable Steveson, Spencer Lee, and Alex Thompson. Make sure you go check those out. This is episode number 4, and we will have two-time Cadet World Champion, 4-time New York State Champion, Yianni Diakomihalis, committed to Cornell back in 2014. But before we jump into the interview with Yianni D, let's touch on some information around the sport. You have the former 125-pound, two-time All-American Connor Utsi, who wrestled for the University of Michigan. He will join the Pitt coaching staff as a volunteer assistant. Great pickup for Pitt. A guy experienced in March, a guy who shows up in March, didn't always have a successful regular season, but when the lights were shining bright, Connor Utsi showed up. So great pickup there at Pitt. Also, you have Corey Keener from Central Michigan University. He is headed to Penn State, a guy who has seen some success in the D1 level. Corey Keener, really good from an open position. And when you think of Central Michigan wrestling, you think of 3-2, 2-1, those defensive matches that they win. A trouble for Central Michigan is if they get down late in periods, what is going to be their go-to offense? And for Corey Keener, that go-to offense is a double leg. We've seen him get in trouble from closing distance. That's where I think this Penn State move is really going to help him. You go from a defensive-minded team to an offensive-minded team, and he's going to have the ability to mash those two cultures together. And what you're going to see is, from what I expect, is going to be a successful campaign next year for Corey Keener, just knowing that you don't want to put too many points on the board if you're a Central Michigan guy, just because that's not the type of style. Not that they don't want to put points on, but they historically don't really do it. So Corey Keener, that's going to be a great fit for him. And let's talk about Isaiah White. He will also be heading with Alex Thompson, who was on episode number 3. He'll be heading to Nebraska. So he's a Cornhusker. Last year, Isaiah White was an NCAA champion Division II for Notre Dame College. So success coming from Isaiah White, and he will be a 165-pounder. And he's headed to Nebraska, and that is going to be a young team. And if I'm not mistaken, I think 2 or 3 guys, I want to say 2, have been the only starters. It'll be McChrystal and Berger, 49 and 57, you'll see next year. But that's going to be one heck of a young team. And looking forward to the schedule for next year. It's not out, but their home matches included Michigan State, Penn State, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Ohio State. So if you have a home and an away duel in back-to-back years, you have to expect that Nebraska is going to be on the road for Ohio State, for Michigan, for Wisconsin, and for Penn State. So that is going to be an absolute test for a young team, and I love it. If you're going to have the opportunity as a team to step into those environments and really test yourself, why would you not want to go to Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State? That's going to be great. The schedules are not released, so those aren't concrete matches. I was just looking forward to looking back at the schedule this year. So that's your news from around the country. This week's episode includes Yianni Diakomihalis, New York 4-time state champion, multiple-time world champion. Without further ado, let's jump and bring in Yianni D. And we'd like to welcome into episode number 4, 4-time New York State champion, multiple-time cadet world champion, and Cornell commit, Yianni Diakomihalis. Yianni D, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, thank you.
This is going to be exciting. So you commit back to Cornell in 2014. Was that something that was, when you wanted to commit, did you want it to get it out of the way early in your high school career so you didn't have to worry about that?
Well, I think it was, I knew that was where I wanted to go. And once, I started getting, not older, but like once you get into your junior year, is when coaches will start like talking to you a little bit more. And I didn't want to waste any other coaches' time, Like I didn't want to have, the coach from, some school talk to me, and I didn't want to waste their time, letting them think I would go to their school if I knew I wanted to go to Cornell. And, I knew that Cornell would be a good fit for me. So, I definitely thought that was a good idea.
So
when I was ready.
You have your official visits. Did you take an unofficial visit? Because we'll start with this. How far do you live from Cornell? Because you currently reside in New York. So how far is your house from Cornell?
It's about 2 hours away. And I always went up to like Finger Lakes Club, throughout middle school and high school. So I was not around the team, but I was in Ithaca a lot. Just kind of, wrestling with the high school team and wrestling with like the Finger Lakes Club and stuff. And then once I was old enough to start wrestling at the RTC a little bit.
Okay, and you said Cornell was the best fit for you. What was it about Cornell that made it the best fit for you? Close to home, or what was it?
Well, I mean, part of it is that it's close to home, helps a lot. But, they're a phenomenal, education going to Cornell. So it gave me the choice of, say I ended up becoming not a good wrestler and I had some kind of career-ending injury. Hopefully I don't. But say I did, I could still get, a great career, graduating from Cornell. And also, just the coaches, they do a great job, and they all are very specialized, and they're very good with what they know. And there's a lot of variety between the 4 coaches on the staff. And they have a lot of good knowledge that can help me, continue to get better.
So what were you looking for in a coach? I know you said that it was pretty much Cornell the whole way, but let's say Rob Cole ends up leaving, the coaching staff is cleared. What were you looking for? What do you look for in a coach that really connects you to them?
Well, guys like Mike Gray and Damien, just talking from a wrestling standpoint, they're very good. Damien's got great high crotch stuff, and he was a big, powerful guy, so he could teach you how to wrestle like a big, powerful guy. But then Mike, he wasn't a great athlete, but he just as tough, and he could teach you how to wrestle hard and wrestle tough and just fight guys, hold position, And then Coach Cole was this super funky, good hips, upper body scrambling kind of deal, where that, just from a wrestling standpoint, those guys were able to hit, 3 very different types of wrestling that I figured I would be able to take advantage of to try and, put all 3 into my wrestling.
And Cornell's, you mentioned the academic standards that Cornell is known for. Do you know what you're going to get your degree in?
I'm planning to do biology and society. It's not exactly pre-med, but it's kind of heading in that direction. And then we would see, if I wanted to pursue pre-med and get into medicine, maybe, or if I wanted to just keep wrestling and compete senior level and get into coaching, maybe I would do that. But I have options, which is good.
That's great, and a lot of kids your age, that's good to see, especially from a coaching standpoint, that somebody knows what they want to do, because a lot of guys come in and they're just so focused on wrestling. And to me, the couple minutes of this conversation, it seems that you're looking past wrestling, and I think that's where a lot of guys get into trouble nowadays, is they just solely focus on wrestling, and at the end of the day, when wrestling's done, there's not a lot after it. So that's great to hear that you're focusing on the education side. Now, that education side, it's going to be tough for you. One guy I think of that I really look up to is Troy Nickerson, to see his ability to compete at the highest level, but he was always, a crazy GPA. So it's going to be strenuous on you. How are you preparing yourself for that?
I've been taking hard, high-level classes throughout my whole career of high school. And obviously it's not anything like what Cornell will be. But I mean, I'm not the only one who's going to be doing it. All those guys who go there are going to be taking hard classes. So, I mean, we can help each other. And, I'm sure if I needed, find a tutor. Or like, I can, there's resources. No one wants to see you fail. The teachers don't want you to fail. So, if someone was struggling, they can get help. And you just have to be willing to help yourself, you know what I mean? So as long as I just work hard and, keep pursuing what I want to accomplish, I'm sure I can find ways to do well.
And that was going to be one of my next questions. Resources available to you. Is there a student athlete center, tutors? What do you guys have available?
I know I've talked to coaches a lot, and they try to help the guys out and get them tutors and stuff. But the other thing that I've noticed, I don't know if they do it at Cornell, but I just know from other kids who go to schools together, is they try and say me and another kid are in the same major. We'll try and work with each other and be like, oh, hey, I'm feeling good about this. What do you think about it? And this way, if I'm struggling with something, maybe I can find another kid who's in biology and talk to them about it and see if we can help each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you guys are the Cornell team is a very tight-knit family, and I know, isn't there a house that you are?
The wrestling house.
Yeah, the wrestler house. So are you going to live there your freshman year?
So they actually sold the house, and they're switching it to an apartment complex, basically. So it's like 3 or 4 bedroom apartments, and it's a complex. So all the wrestlers live in this complex, and these 3 guys will get this apartment room, and these 3 guys will get this apartment room. These guys will get this room. So it's a similar setup, just a different building, basically. But yeah, I mean, the guys really emphasize, the coaches emphasize, being a tight knit group, and because that's what you want. You want guys who support each other, because as much as everyone wants to pursue their individual goals, that team aspect where everyone's helping each other, it's kind of like you all push each other up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's great to see too. And you guys do battle in the room. And I know I lived with there was a wrestler, same deal at Michigan State, and we had, I want to probably 15 guys that lived in the same apartment complex. And the guy I had to wrestle off, I lived with. So we wrestle off, and I win the spot, and then I have to go home and make dinner for us. So it's pretty different, but it's really cool that you guys are able to do that. What are your summer plans going to be like when you're there? You going to stay?
I'm going to try and get out there as early as I can. We graduate pretty late in New York, so I think they're actually coming to Rochester to run a camp for some high school kids. So I think when that camp ends and all the coaches and the wrestlers go back to Ithaca, I'll just move out there when they go back. So it'll be middle of July maybe. I think I'll be out there and just try and get as much wrestling in as possible.
Yeah, are you going to compete this summer at all?
We're going to see what happens with the world trials and stuff. And, we're just going to see what happens in Lincoln. And that'll probably have a big influence on what happens to me this summer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Are you feeling pretty good? I know you've had some dinged up elbows, if I'm not mistaken. It was first your right, and then second was your left?
Yep.
So any update on that? You still feeling pretty good? I know you wrestled. Was it the Journeyman Duels that you wrestled in?
I wrestled the Journeyman Freestyle Classic, and then I did the Open. And that was my 3rd week coming back. So I've been getting better since then, just fixing my conditioning, cutting some of the fat off me and stuff. So I've been getting better, staying healthy, doing my best. And hopefully all stays well coming into Lincoln.
Any hesitations? I know when you come back from injury, there's always that doubt in your mind that, you've been hurt a couple of times. And coming from my standpoint, I had 4 knee surgeries in college, and it was my problem was getting in scrambles and not bailing out. So any hesitation coming back when you've been injured a couple of times and looking to get back to that high level?
I used to get a little nervous about them, but now I understand, really at this point, there's nothing different about them than normal elbows. They're just a little lumpier looking. So, yeah, I mean, obviously nothing stupid, but, as far as wrestling goes, I feel all right.
And you mentioned trying to reach another world team and coming up next weekend. You've been on a couple of world teams with guys who committed elsewhere. At any point did they try to sway your decision from Cornell? I mean, you committed such a long time ago, but did they, come to Penn State, come to Minnesota? Did they have any influence try and get you to decommit?
No, I mean, we always joke around with each other. I was like, oh, you guys should just come to Cornell. We mess around, but in the end, it's not my call to make. It's not their call to make. So, I mean, we make fun of each other and stuff, but whatever they want is good for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the Penn State picking up all these huge recruits?
Man, I don't know how they do it.
Right?
I don't know how they do it. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, good for them. They're building up, a ton of great recruits. But yeah. Hopefully, I mean, yeah, I'm not sure how they do it, pulling so many guys. But honestly, once you get to college, it becomes a clean slate. So, everyone talks about all the great recruits coming in. But same thing for me. Once you get to college, it's a clean slate. So it's just about how hard you work once you get there. That'll affect your college success.
Then a local or a New York kid as well that signed a couple of years after you, Vito. How cool was that? I know you guys have had a long history of wrestling each other and dating back years. So for you guys to grow up around each other and then to continue your college career at Cornell, what was that like when you found out he committed?
No, yeah, it'll be cool. It's cool. It's funny. Back in 8th grade, we used to always wrestle against each other, and we were we didn't like each other. And then we started training together, and we became really good friends. So it was cool that when we both were going to school together. We're gonna be pretty close, and wrestling in college together is gonna keep us close with each other. So that'll be good.
So did he tell you before he committed and before the news went live? Did he tell you that he's going to Cornell as well?
Yeah, it was kind of a similar thing with me where he knew he was going to go there. He just kind of wanted to wait until a reasonable time to announce it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm sure your parents know each other. I'm sure the community's going to be behind you guys.
My dad and his dad are super close.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. So you mentioned Lincoln coming up. What do you have to do to be successful in Lincoln?
It's a real tough weight class. A lot of great guys. So I just got to wrestle tough, try and put up as many points as I can. Well, best way I can put it is get on the mat and get off the mat as fast as I can because there's going to be a ton of great wrestlers. I'm not going to have any giveaway matches, but I'm going to have to, for me to make the team, I'm going to have to win 6 or 7 matches. So, the more techs I can fall into, the better. So, really work on transitioning to places, transitioning to trapped arm guts, ways where I can blow the scoreboard open without having to work super hard to get those points. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This way I'm a little more fresh as the tournament rolls on, especially if I make the finals in that best of 3. I've been wrestling all day and that kid's been sitting. So it's real important that, I get rolling and stay rolling and just keep letting the points throw themselves up. You know what I mean?
Are you looking forward to any other matches outside of your weight class that you really want to see? I know a lot of social media beefs go on this time of year with it being so prevalent nowadays, and people have the ability to call each other out. So is there any guys you want to see wrestle?
I know it actually is Vito and Mitch McKee had a really exciting final at 60 kilos. So, I'm sure if they wrestle again, it will be exciting again, and it'll be a best of 3. So, that'll be an exciting 2 or 3 matches between those two.
Well, for everybody here at TrackWrestling.com, we wish you the best of luck with your journey, not only at Cornell, but this weekend next weekend, in Lincoln, Nebraska. Where can our fans follow you on social media?
Both my Twitter and my Instagram are at Yianni Diako_LGR. And, feel free to follow me if you guys want to, but I try and keep it interesting. So, go for it.
All right. So for everybody here at TrackWrestling.com, I've been Eric Olanowski. Yianni D, thank you very much for joining us for episode number 4. Make sure you go to TrackWrestling.com. Check out all of the episodes. This is episode number 4. So we've had Gable Steveson, we've had Spencer Lee, and Alex Thompson. This has been episode number 4. So make sure you go to Track Wrestling. Follow on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all the social media apps. And once again, thank you very much, Yianni.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you.
This show is part of the Matt Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, head over to MattTalkOnline.com.